Hey there, folks. So, last episode we set up our log pickup actor to be added to the inventory, and we did some inventory work for getting things to show in the UI. One issue we had, well, and it's not really an issue, it was an intended and known limitation of how it was implemented, is we did not have the ability to, well, we still had, I should say, the ability to move the character around while the UI was open for the inventory. And that's not something you want. Now, this episode, we're going to focus on fixing that and potential, well, not fixing, but addressing that, and then also potentially going through and adding in or working on the inventory widgets so they actually look a little better. So, first thing we're going to do though is we're going to work on getting the inventory to, getting the player character to move or not move while the inventory is open. So doing that, the first thing we need to do is add in a U function, blueprint native event, void toggle player inventory with a const bool reference input of b show inventory. And then we want the exact same thing as we've done before. We need it with the implementation. And I'm actually just going to copy paste this so that I have the actually no, we don't need the input parameter, sorry. But anyway, so I just copied the implementation so we had the correct spelling there. So we're going to create the definition for this. Now we also want to add in a variable that we're going to use to determine whether or not we need to show the inventory. And this is going to be U property visible anywhere. It helps if I spell property, right? U property visible anywhere, blueprint read only. We don't need it to be saved or anything like that. Bool b inventory is shown equals false. Now, what we're going to be doing is, we need the meta tag. Because it is a private variable. So what we're going to be doing just in our, first of all, I'm a little scatterbrained. We also need to add the action. Currently it's just hard bound to the letter I. We want it to be a bindable action. So I'm just going to copy all of this, throw that down, and inventory action. All right. So anyways, over here, I just forgot what I named the variable. Wow. Inventory is shown. So b inventory is shown equals not inventory is shown. This is just being used as a toggle. And then following that, we're going to be calling the blueprint version. And the reason being is the inventory is a UI aspect, and I've found UI, it's far better to do that through blueprints than it is through code. Personal opinion. You may find UI is better to do in code. I'm not so sure on that myself. But anyways, we then need to add in the actual binding. So enhanced input component, bind action, inventory action, e trigger event complete this, and then we want a tf player character, and we want to make sure we're calling the implementation, not the blueprint version of it. And the reason being is we want this function to execute this Boolean conversion or flip-flop before we call the UI. Now, so we've got, let's make sure we've added the action, we're bind the action, we've created this, and we're assigning that, and that is exposed to blueprints. Blueprint is read-only. All right, so there is a couple of other things we need to do. So one thing to keep in mind when, actually no, before I go into that, I'm going to show you why. I dislike saying don't do this without providing an explanation. So I'm just going to launch that. I'm just going to pause the recording while the editor builds, and as soon as we're back in the editor, I will come right back. All right, so we're back in the editor now. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to get the new action hooked up. So open the third-party blueprint. And I'm just going to go in here, third-party, third person. Didn't create it. I'm ahead of myself here. We actually need to go into our input actions. We can just duplicate our interact. We want IA inventory. Save that. Back up into our default mappings. Pull this over. We want to add the new mapping in inventory. Save that. Inventory. Type that enough times. And you can see we have our inventory shown. Excuse me. Inventory shown. Oh no, that's the local one. Inventory is shown. Sorry, I'm burp. Minimize that. That's this one here, which we don't actually need anymore. So I'm going to do this and this. I'm actually going to get rid of these. So we want to call override toggle player inventory. Pass that through there. And then B inventory get inventory is shown. Okay, that's that. Compile, save. I believe that's what I need for this first part. Hop back in. I'm just going to hit 9 to load up our previous save game. We hit I. Okay, it's not doing what I want it to do. Oh, I never bound it in the default mapping. That's why. Default mapping. Bind that to the I key. Save. Move that back. Press play. Press 9 to load. Press I. Nothing is happening. Okay, let's hop into our code here in our first-person character. Not first-person, third-person character. Back into the editor. Let's hit I. B inventory shown. Toggle player inventory. Yeah, that goes to that. Okay, so we're good there. Throw that there. Hit I again. Okay, we're hitting that breakpoint. We're going to hit continue. Okay, so we're here. We're showing it is true. Why is it not showing? Do we have an issue with our inventory component? No. All right, so. Oh, I somehow broke a connection in the inventory inventory widget. That's probably from my messing around when I was testing between episodes there. Let's try this again. All of this to show you that there's one other thing we need to do before we can actually wrap up with that. Okay, so we're in here, step into that. Okay, we're now hitting the for each loop because yeah, we had this disconnected here. So I'm just going to hit continue, move this out of the way. Okay, there we go, and we have the inventory. You can see, obviously, we're still able to move around. We're toggling it. Move that breakpoint. So, to not be able to move around, most people, we're in the third person blueprint here. Go to, move this over, set input mode. Most of the time it's going to say, you're going to be told, set input mode UI only. Get player controller. Actually, that's a show cursor. Set that to true. And actually, we can just set that to our inventory show. The problem is with setting it to, and this is what I wanted to show you, setting it to input mode only is, actually, I'm going to throw the break, I need to throw a breakpoint here. So this is within the third party character, throwing a breakpoint on toggle UI. I'm going to play, load, hit I. So we hit this breakpoint once, go through, we show the UI, we show the mouse cursor, and we set the input mode to UI only. So in here, you can see cursors moving around, but I'm not sure if you can hear me tapping away on my I key. It's no longer, like, we're not hitting this breakpoint a second time. The reason being is we are setting it to UI mode only. That is killing our input towards the player character. Now we could go through and add in, let's see, inventory triggered. We could add in some stuff here that is going to call the same thing and eventually like hide it, but I found there's a much easier way, and that's actually why we also added inventory is shown as a boolean. So I'm going to just make sure everything is saved here. I know there's a save all button. I do have trust issues with that, but anyways, we're going to close out of the editor. Back in here in our player character, we can just go through and use okay, on interaction overlap. I'm just trying to find a particular function that's regarding input. Begin play, tick, data interaction text. All of our inputs are probably up at the top. Yeah, on interact. So what we're going to be putting in here is if b inventory is shown, return. Because we are not pausing the game is the main reason why. Now, I have mentioned in the past how as soon as you're copy and pasting functionality, make a helper function. Well, you can't, well, you could, and actually no, I was about to say you don't really need one here, but no, that you do. So private inner functions, void, bool in inventory. Actually no, inventory shown. Inventory is shown. This is a constant. I keep doing that. Return B is inventory. B inventory is shown. And no, I needed to correct myself on this because the whole reason you want these as a helper function like this is actually I'm renaming this block player no block character input. So what this function is going to be, it's going to be a helper function that is going to be used to determine if we should be blocking these interactions. So I'm just going to copy the function part there. So block character and input. Now, so if we are in the inventory, we don't want the player to be able to hit F to pick something up. We don't want them to be able to toggle sneak. We don't want them to be able to, again, toggle sneak or sprinting. We don't want them to be able to jump. And then now we can just do that for the look action, and the same for the, oh no, we'll put that before, again, just for memory management. We don't want to create a vector 2D that we don't need to. Okay. And the same thing can be added to our line trace. We can just say, look, we're doing something that we don't want to be tracing. So we'll just throw that in there as a return. And that prevents any of this from executing. Now that we've done that, we'll do another build. And I'll explain why. So the reason being is, instead of setting it to UI only, you want it to be UI and game. Because then that's still going to receive your input from your player, and it's also going to allow you to modify things in the UI. And we've added these basically safety catches of the block character input to prevent anything else falling through, so those buttons aren't going to do anything. So let's just launch into the editor. This should launch pretty quickly here. Pull that over. Now apparently GitHub's complaining at me. I forgot to close that before I started making changes. But anyway, so now we're just going to open, come on, content browser. Thank you. We're going to open up our third person blueprint. We're going to leave all of this as is. It's this input mode we want to change. So we actually want to go one of two ways, and that's a branch. So we're just going to branch, and we can actually just carry through, because we know our show inventory is being used to show our cursor, and we can use that just to follow through to the next one. So we want set input mode game and UI, set input mode game only. So for showing the cursor, we want game and UI. If we're not, we're wanting it to be game only. And we've passed through a HUD reference there. Compile, save, and we'll give this a shot here. So move the content browser out of the way. I'm going to hit play. I'm going to hit 9 to load up our previous game. We're going to hit I. Now we're toggling the breakpoint here. Currently show inventory is true. We've set that at a code level. So we're telling the UI to display itself. We're saying the cursor to show itself. Okay, now we want to go into set input mode game and UI. I'm just going to continue there. I'll move this out of the way. You can see we're not doing anything in the background, but when I hit I again, we're now actually hitting this a second time, and it's now false because, again, we set that at the code first, turning off the UI, we're hiding the cursor, and we're setting it to game only. Move this out of the way, back to here, and now we're back to being able to process our input. I can't pick anything up there because my inventory is overweight. Hit I, though, you can see I've got, what, 75 in logs and the 2.5 in there. We don't have the extra capacity. So with that, we've gone through and we've set up some basic behavior to allow us to show our inventory, but our character's not going to respond to anything. Actually, I'll just quickly show you that again. So right now, we have nothing in our inventory, but you can... Oh, I've still got that breakpoint on there. Continue. So back here, you can see I'm in the UI. I can't do anything. I'm jumping, trying to move around. Hit I again. I can take control again. Now, we couldn't see anything, obviously, because we didn't have anything in our inventory. Right now, that just doesn't work. But at this point, though, that gives us some basic functionality of what we need. So I'm going to drop out of there. Now, the other thing I said I wanted to do, I was going to close my third-person blueprint there, is I wanted to try and fix our UI stuff. So we have our basic HUD and our inventory item. So we want our inventory scroll area. We want it to fill. Now, where is child? Or is it the inventory area? Okay, so we have it as 400 wide. I'm going to change that to 500 wide for a start. And this is where we need to look at our inventory item. So we have our canvas, which we don't have any sizing capacity. We have our border, which we're set to the content fill. Set our anchors to the whole thing, and we'll just see if that makes a difference there. So move this out of the way here. I'm gonna hit play. Hit F to pick up the mushroom and hit I. Well, now we have that issue of, well, we don't have anything other than the text. So we know that this anchor is likely the cause. So we're gonna change that back. Just quickly play. I'm just gonna hit F9 to, 9 to load. Click into the game and hit 9. Hit our inventory. Things are back fine there. So we know the I is the issue. But the anchor is the issue. So I was trying to figure out. I think it's actually in the HUD that we want to take a look. Creating widget. Fill. No. Margin. Actually, promote to variable. T child. This is just me testing things here. Margin. No. Padding. Set padding. Make. Oh, that's why. So. I can never remember, and this is why I'm not a UI person. I struggle with these quite often. Yeah, no. So we know this hasn't done anything, so I'm just going to get rid of those and get rid of that variable. Compile that. Okay. We want that to be fill. I'm going to leave that on auto, actually. Inventory area. Behavior, orientation, advanced. Actually, it doesn't really matter what orientation. We'll change that to vertical just in case. Well, actually, saying that, we know our inventory area is 500. We're not worried about the height, we're just worried about the width. So I'm actually just going to go 500. Change the padding there to 1. Icon. Yeah. Okay, let's see if that makes a difference. So 9 to load up. No, that didn't. Why is that not? Oh, size to content. That messes with these now. So let's go 0.2. No, not 2.2. Let's see how that looks. That's probably going to look absolutely garish, but well, it's actually not too bad. Obviously need to do some adjustments with the text for the count, like the quantity, but that gives us a better, more at least consistent UI. There's other things I want to do with this, like I want to sort of shift what we currently have off to the right a little bit and then provide what would be your normal character panel on the left to be able to easily manage your equipment. However, I'm not going to be doing that until we actually start getting to the point where we are going to be working with equipables. So I'm just trying to think if there's anything else to clean up right now, because I just wanted to get the last of the inventory, well, as much of the inventory stuff done as possible. Actually, there is one other thing we want to do. So right in the widget, we are going to right click on the stack box, wrap with an overlay. The reason being is we want things to I actually want this on top. We're gonna add a button. No, I'm not gonna do that yet. I'm not sure how I want to do. I was thinking of adding in the use functionality, but I'm not quite ready with that yet. I'm not sure if I want to do a right click menu or how we want to go about that yet. You could add a button like a use and a drop button if you want to have a fairly simple. Actually, I can do that right here. We got a stack box. This is our vertical one, right? Yep. Yep. So I'm going to add a stack. This one should be horizontal. We're going to go button. Text. No, that's the button I want to rename. Use button. Drop button. Use drop. Now we want to obviously change the size of the font on these. I'm going to drop these down to 8 and 8. And then where's our border? We want to expand that ever so slightly, so this is all included there. Compile and save. Actually, do we have an alignment for this? No. So I'm just going to prep things in here. We'll actually get to that next episode. I just realized we're getting close to the 30-minute mark. Now is this append? No. combine. Can never remember what the format. That's the one I wanted. QNT. No, QT. I'm just going to call count. Okay, let's quickly compile that. We'll save. We'll give this one last quick check to make sure that's working. 9 to load, I to open. Oh, those buttons look horrible, but you can see count is 1. Buttons currently don't do anything. Those buttons do look horrible. So, as you can tell, I'm really not a UI person. I'm going to go back to our designer. Just going to... Is it... I thought it was margin. No, apparently it is padding. Padding at 2 on those. And we need to do the same thing we did before. Just drag our border down. And I'm actually going to change this so it's not as in your face with a full black. Let's give that one quick look. One more go. 9 and load. Okay, so it looks a little better. Obviously, it still looks absolutely horrible. It's not as in your face though. So, however, with that, folks, what I'm going to do is I'm going to call the episode here. Next episode, we are going to actually hook in some logic to control whether or not these buttons are visible, and also make them work. That'll tie in some basic logic that we can obviously in the future, once a decision is made on my part as to do I want a context menu with the right click, things like that. Once that's done, we can then go through and expand. But anyways, thanks for watching, folks. As always, if you have any comments, questions, concerns, or suggestions, please feel free to leave them in the comments. I do respond to all of them as best I can. Thanks again, and I will see you in the next episode.